Welcome back to Beery Good Entertainment, everybody. This is episode 61. This is an unscheduled podcast because we had to do it today instead of Saturday. And we are talking about a super important subject that everybody's been just going off on. We're going to talk about impeachment. Yep. Because, God, we personally, the both of us are just frustrated, like up to here with, the giant toddler. Mm-hmm. Now, if you disagree, that's perfectly okay. Let us know. We're in the YouTube chat. Mm-hmm. I also have the MeWe event chat up. If you feel like letting us know on Twitter too, I may not get to the Twitter as quickly, but Beery, that's at BeeryGE. Yell at us on that. Let us know your opinion. It is all good.
Yeah, and I've got the YouTube up right now.
And the very first thing I'm going to do that we always have to talk about the beer.
Oh, yes.
Last time we talked about spontaneous fermentation. Neither of us knew what it was.
Right.
Apparently, spontaneous fermentation is made with yeast that is completely wild. It is It is not cultivated at all. Like, they just open up the fermenter, and whatever lands on the beer whatever lands on the beer is what ferments it, and it's great for sours.
Okay. And I've heard before that sours can use that kind of fermentation where you get all kinds of stuff in it because it's like whatever comes in, comes in.
I know that I've had beers go sour because, of yeast that just manages to hop on in.
It just propagates.
And I make cabbage like that too.
With yeast?
With wild, I stuff it in the mason jar, and the wild yeast lands on it.
Wow.
And ferments it.
Okay.
It works. So I can totally see it working for beer.
So is it like dilled?
It's usually a lactobacillus. So yes, it is a souring type of yeast.
Interesting. I can't eat that kind of vegetable though. I can't process those types of vegetables.
Oh, cruciferous.
Yes.
The cabbagey stuff. Yeah.
Broccoli. I can't process it.
I love pickles. I just ate the last of my pickles, my cucumbers.
I do love pickles. I think I can eat pickles okay. I've never noticed a problem with pickles.
Well, I have two types of beer today.
Okay.
Do you have anything today?
I do, and it's been in the freezer because I want it to be cold, and I really hope it doesn't explode.
Oh.
It's been in the freezer for about 2 hours. It's going to look weird with the green tint, but I don't even know the name of it.
I hope it isn't frozen.
I hope not, too. We'll find out. You can see the price of the 4-pack. I was in a good mood.
Goodness.
Well,
I can see the artwork. The artwork's beautiful. It's like this. It looks almost like a decorated urn.
Yeah, it's interesting. And it's been a while since I picked this out. I don't even remember why I got it. All right, it's 12%. No, it's brewed by 12%. So that's the name of it.
That's the brewery?
Yeah. I'm kind of surprised at myself that I spent this much money on a brewery I've never heard of. I must have been really feeling good that day. Oh, but it is on 12.5% volume. ABV. It's an imperial stout brewed with maple syrup and natural flavors, and it's called Agamemnon.
Agamemnon. Sounds like it sounds like they're taking off on an Egyptian.
Does sound like something like that.
Yeah, here we go. It looks like it was brewed in Stockholm, Sweden.
Oh, okay. I usually don't get imported. I didn't even.
Yeah, I see it. Brewed by Omnipolo, Sweden.
Okay.
12.5%.
I'm so surprised at myself because I generally would not pay $21 for a 4-pack of something I've never heard of. But, I hadn't been to a good beer store in a long time, so I kind of went a little crazy. All right, it didn't explode.
Understandable.
All right. So, ooh, it's spilling. Oh dear. Of course, with the green tint, you can't see that much. All right. It's a very dark pour. No head at all, but you know, with this much ABV, it's probably very heavy. There's a little tiny bit of a head now, just a little tiny. It looks very rich.
Hmm.
I'm going to be honest, it actually smells sour.
Really?
We're talking about sours. Yeah, it smells sour.
That is really weird because it's supposed to be an Imperial American stout. It should not really smell sour.
It smells sour. I don't get maple at all. But let's see how it tastes. I've got the syrupy of the maple. But this definitely, it tastes kind of sour.
Oh, maybe it went bad.
It may have. It's not bad, but it definitely tastes sour.
Oh.
It tastes like someone took a stout and it turned.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah. It doesn't.
Is it something you can drink, or do you want to get something else?
I'm gonna keep drinking it. It's no.
Well, it is it is so hot today.
Yeah.
It is still woo! It is still 96 degrees Fahrenheit here.
Goodness.
And we don't get air conditioning here.
Oh, that's so sad.
We have 3 fans going in the house ferociously. Up above, my computer is a champ. I tell you, my computer is a champ. It's going and it's going. It's not complaining. But I decided I couldn't deal with high ABV beers today. So I chose the Molson Coors Blue Moon.
Oh, okay. That's a good one. I've had that one before.
Blue Moon Belgian White. Now, even though this is a Coors Company beer, I understand this is not technically craft. I really do like it because it is an ale, and it's really light. It's really refreshing. It's not, even though it's supposed to be a Belgian white, it tastes weedy more than Belgian-y. It has no real Belgian flavor off it. It says it has Valencia orange peel, but I don't taste that either.
I never taste the orange peel. And you do it straight out of the bottle because the bottle's cold.
Yeah, I drink it straight out of the bottle. I really would put it in a glass for everybody, but within like 30 seconds, it would warm up to room temperature.
Yeah, you want that coldness. When it's really hot outside and I got a light beer like that, I like drinking it out of the can or the bottle.
Yeah. My other one that you will see me drinking, and this isn't empty, is Stella Artois.
I like that. I used to get that a lot.
Now, our producer refers to Beery beers. And this is one of those Beery beers. This comes from Belgium, and it's a Belgian lager.
Okay.
And there's nobody but like Europeans who really know how to do like a good Belgian/German type lager and have it turn out with that good, rich, grainy type flavor. I have not. I've tasted a few in America that have come close, but Stella Artois, even though it is not craft either,
but it is one of the oldest.
But it is really good. It's a really good lager. I believe they started in 1366.
It's old.
It's very old. Very old.
And one of the things I like about it is I can get it in restaurants where they don't have a great beer selection. They'll usually have Stella. So it's reliable.
Yes. And they usually put it in a nice glass for you. Because it is kind of a fancy, from over the pond,
A champagne of beers. If not the champagne of beers, it's a champagne of beers.
It's a better champagne of beers than
champagne of beers, exactly. And they usually have their own glass for it, and it'll have a gold trim along the top.
Yes, it does, and I have not been able to get one of those glasses yet. Eventually, because I love collecting glassware.
Yeah.
It's almost become an obsession for me.
I hope you can get it.
Someday. Someday.
I would think you would be able to order it online, don't you think?
Probably. I'm hoping to get it like in a bar contest sometime.
Yeah, that would be cool.
That'd be really cool.
I think is it still that I have, or is it another one? I have sunglasses that I got from a pizza place I like. They were just just 1 week they said, take your glasses home. And I was like, okay, that's cool.
All right.
I also have a huge Oktoberfest glass somewhere.
Oh yeah, we got those, like the really massive ones from the Block 15. They're always nice to get.
That is always fun.
Ooh, it's really cool. It's really cool to fill it all the way up and just drink it. It's super cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm Linda Tepler, and my friend here is Lola the Hulk.
I know. I don't know what's going on. It's crazy.
For
it
those
just
of
happened last Saturday.
For those of you who are listening to the podcast, unfortunately, Lola's screen has turned green.
Yeah.
But she is quite a formidable woman, so I could see her being the Hulk's sister.
It might be from the camera. Like maybe I blew out something in the camera, which would suck because it's my only camera.
It's possible. Because
I did flash that light.
We can always fix it later, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's not bad.
So, during the past few months, we've gotten around to talking about exactly how much we dislike this president of ours. And beyond the jokes, now it has become an issue of threat.
Yep.
Just how dangerous is this president? And do we need to get rid of him or make sure that he is punished before he leaves office? Maybe we should actually start by telling people what impeachment is, because I was actually rather surprised when I looked it up. Impeachment is not actually getting rid of him. Impeachment is only the leveling of charges against him.
Yeah.
And most people do think that impeachment is, removing him from office. That's not true. Impeachment is just the charges that we're going to lay on him, and the punishment comes afterward.
And nothing may come of impeachment. I remember Bill Clinton, the impeachment in the 90s, and that dragged on forever, and nothing happened.
Very true, and it can have a super negative effect on an entire bunch of, either the whole Democrats or all the Republicans, and affect their chances for election in the next election cycle. And 2020 is not far off. This is 2019.
Yeah, so we got a year and a half basically until we vote.
That is true. Let's see. Impeachment is reserved for quote unquote high crimes and misdemeanors. That means allegations of misconduct such as perjury, abuse of authority, bribery, intimidation, misuse of assets, dereliction of duty, unbecoming conduct, and refusal to obey a lawful order or tax evasion. Well,
We've got all of that, just about. We don't know about the taxes, but
I do think that impeachment could qualify for any number of those at this point. I mean, he's manufactured how many crises? The most recent being Mexico. He manufactured that crisis so that he could, quote unquote, fix it.
Yeah, it's his signature. He's leveled an amount of terror, just fright on people, made people frightened of people who are other than themselves.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to pick a highlighter color for the.
Oh, okay. Well, one thing I know.
So go ahead.
Well, some of it, is up to debate, and people, could talk their way out of some of them. But there's one that I think is very much applies, and that's where it says disobeying the law, disobeying orders. He's told people to not testify for Congress. He's told people to not present documents that have been subpoenaed. He's done this. So that is refusal to obey orders right there. Or at least encouraging other people to refuse to obey orders.
I believe that and the perjury actually apply enormously.
Yeah.
I guess the perjury could be kind of back and forth, but we have so many instances of him actually, being proven a liar.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, do you think that would count?
I hope so, but they're so good at weaseling out of things. And because Mueller couldn't say for sure, obstruction, and, he couldn't really pinpoint anything, I'm afraid they would be able to weasel out of it and say, oh, well, that was a slip of the tongue, or no, that's not what we meant when we said the. Yeah, it's so easy to weasel out of this stuff.
Well, one of the things that I saw on Reuters.com was that Mueller said the only reason he did not indict was because a memo came from the Justice Department stating a sitting president cannot be indicted. Now, it's not a law. It's not a law. Yeah. It's only a policy of the Justice Department. Mm-hmm. The Supreme Court has never taken this up. But here's the thing, is that it's only a policy. Mueller couldn't really go any further without that kind of support. Mm-hmm. So I understand why he did not. Because if you don't have the support of the Justice Department, you're really out on a limb. It's not going to
go very far.
Yeah, it's not going to go very far. The whole process of impeachment involves the complaint being received by the House of Representatives. It's then referred to the House Judiciary Committee, which is part of the Justice Department. Then it goes to the Subcommittee on the Constitution. If they decide there's merit to the case, the articles of impeachment are prepared and forwarded to a full Judiciary Committee for a vote. Then, if it's approved, the articles are sent to the full House for a vote. If it's disapproved, the issue's terminated. If it's approved, the articles are delivered to the Senate. It's only then that the Senate gets to take it up, and the Senate becomes a courtroom for a full-scale trial, and 2/3 of the senators that are there must concur to return a guilty verdict. Otherwise, the president is acquitted and returns to his job. And because we have a double jeopardy law, he can't be tried again. He can't be tried again after he leaves.
Unless you believe Lifetime, the Lifetime channel.
The Lifetime channel.
I have seen movies where they are tried for the same crime, but that's the Lifetime channel. Yeah, I'm of two minds of it. I think it could go two ways. It could get to the Senate and all this information could come out and people could finally realize what an insane person he is, and he could lose all of his support and lose the election. Yeah. Or it could just be spun so much by the Republican Party that it makes the Democrats look even more like they're just trumping up charges. It could backfire, and that's my worry. But I also don't want to say no to impeachment based on that, because what he's doing is horrible and he's cost people lives. So I want him to be impeached. I do worry, though, about the blowback.
Yeah. So there's part of our pros, and I made a little pros and cons thing on our on our show notes.
Okay.
So if he is impeached right now, he cannot go and attempt to run for president again.
Oh.
He can't hold public office again if he is impeached, even if he's not removed. Okay,
Really?
they can
I
impeach
didn't know
him.
that.
They can impeach him and not remove him, but he cannot run for public office after that.
I wonder if they figure out a way to get out of that. The Republicans are like a magician's act. They can get out of anything, it seems like. They might figure out, they might just say, we're not going to follow that rule anymore.
Now, I mean, under the double jeopardy law, I guess he could be, if they got him for a specific thing, maybe they get him under the perjury law for impeachment.
Yeah.
I don't know if they could get him for tax evasion after the fact.
I would think so. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but to me, double jeopardy means a specific crime at a specific time.
Yeah.
So even if he perjured himself more than once, it would only be perjury for one instance, I would think. There's so much to choose from with him. Really, it's a smorgasbord.
Now, Cybernaut is talking about the dragging of heels. I'm not exactly sure. Cybernaut, are you talking about the Republicans dragging their heels? Because that makes sense. Now I looked at Oregon's people who supported the New York Times article came out that actually listed who is for and who is against and who didn't respond.
Mm-hmm.
2 Oregon people responded, both positively, both in favor of impeachment.
Mm-hmm.
But the rest of them didn't respond. Only Blumenauer and Bonamici, both Democrats, support the impeachment process. We definitely don't have enough Democrats, and we have one Republican.
One lone Republican. Unfortunately, McCain can't vote anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah. We have one lone Republican that actually supports it. And look at our House right now. I feel like we need to wait until the 2020 process.
Okay.
Because we need to take those spots with Democrats.
Yeah.
I wish we could take with Green Party, but we're gonna have to.
I would like that too. I wish we had more than 2 viable parties, but people aren't there yet, and I'm guilty of it too. I voted for a Democrat I didn't like because I didn't want Trump to win.
Yeah, I see Cybernaut. So Cybernaut thinks that both sides are dragging their heels because they don't want to get sucked in and not get reelected.
That's true.
Agree. I agree that is probably what is happening. Because you don't want to if you're a politician, you don't want to get sucked into that place where people are going to despise you for spending money and wasting time on something that will not come to fruition.
Yeah.
Like Clinton.
And it could hurt the party because with Clinton, I remember it hurt the Republicans because it did feel a bit like a witch hunt.
And I agree, it pretty much was. I mean, the whole thing was based on something that really wasn't hurting us.
I mean, it sucked and it was really just dirty.
It was dirty.
Gross. It was dirty and gross, but
it wasn't really our business.
It was a moral issue. It was.
Yeah.
It really had no business being in impeachment. Although it does talk about, it says something like, what is it? The criteria. There is something that's more of a morality thing.
Yes, there is one in there that is morality. Unbecoming conduct.
And you could shoehorn that in there, but it's a shoehorn. That's one of those things where that could mean something different to everybody. And
that is true. Unbecoming conduct is pretty much it's a morality call. And right now I think we're having enough morality issues that we don't need to add another pile on top of it. I think there are plenty of other things that we could concentrate on for impeachment if that is really where the politicians wanted to go.
Right. And I would prefer it stay with things that can be objectively proven. Because if we try to get into morality and things like, well, I hate his morality, but if we try to go deep into morality and things, it's so easy for someone to talk themselves out of that.
Yes.
I would rather have things where we can point to a law and say, this is this. You were supposed to obey Congress when they asked for the subpoena and you didn't. Or you obstructed justice, which he has done by advising Hope Hicks and another person to not testify for Congress. And he told William Barr not to do something, I think document. But yeah, he's told these people to not comply with subpoenas. And that is obstruction of justice. It's right there.
So there's an interesting piece of the law precedent. Cybernaut says that says the statute of limitations on tax evasion begins at the last infraction.
Oh, okay. Well, you know, we
don't have any of his tax records. It's, that would have to be the court actually demanding the court, the tax records. Now, I would like to see every single presidential candidate forced to give up tax records. Mm-hmm. I want to see them. Mm-hmm. I do. I want to see them. I think that is enormously important to the American public. If you're trying to evade taxes, I don't want you in a place where you're spending my money.
Exactly. And if I have to do it, you need to have to do it too. God only knows what kind of offshore accounts he's got. That's the problem with people who are financially ambitious. They know how to shelter money. So it
may not even be that. It may be that we could figure out that he has all his money wrapped up in Russia.
Oh, and he's lied about that. He said before, I have no dealings with Russia. Nope.
Yes.
And at the same time, his son is there. He's trying to get Trump Tower off the ground in Russia.
That's right.
I remember reading an article where it said, I think it said that they thought that the administration might get around perjury by saying that a lot of the lies were to reporters and the public, not in court. But to me, it doesn't matter if you're in court. You're the president. If you're lying to me or to a reporter, that is egregious. It may not be technically perjury, but it fits in those categories somewhere.
Yes, absolutely.
And, interactions with foreign agents, that's a whole thing too. Russia is still on our naughty list. Mm-hmm. And it will for a long time. And he doesn't care. He doesn't care about the naughty list. He probably likes the naughty list.
If he's indebted to Russia, he never should have been president.
Right. That's a reason, if you work for the government, that's a reason for you to be fired. If you have ties like that to an enemy type state. I really dislike having to label them, like a quote unquote enemy. As I know, our scientific communities get along, like bosom buddies. I don't have a problem with it because he disappears people.
But the political atmosphere is so horrific. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It is absolutely horrific. Mm-hmm. And we can't even look at the Mueller report yet. There is, the quote unquote public version of it is so filled with redactions. It's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. There's no way you could actually get anything meaningful from that. And I disagree with that too.
Yeah, it should be transparent. We have a right to see it.
It absolutely should be transparent.
It's our president. I'm the school of thought that the president works for us.
The good thing is the Department of Justice has agreed to share the Mueller report evidence with Congress.
Good. Okay.
NewYorkPost.com actually did do an article on this, stating that it will be shared with Congress. Now, if they don't share it, they're going to be in contempt. And that starts another whole slew of legal junk before 2020, which just do it. Drives me nuts because there's no way we can control, at least we can't even control Trump without, knowing half this crap. Do you think that just the threat of impeachment might be enough to make him semi-behave?
No, he's still talking about, what are they talking about impeach? Impeach is a dirty word. No, it just makes him more blustery. He thrives on this. He's like a shop DJ. He wants people to get in his face. He wants to be antagonized. He gets off on it. So the more this circus goes on, honestly, the more it fuels him. I think Cy will understand this. He's like Colin in the what's the name of it that I like, the show, where the vampire show that we've been watching. He gets off on people's pain and frustration.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that is true.
Yeah. What we do in the shadows. I blanked on it for a second. So he gets off on that, and he likes chaos. And so he's actually probably loving this because it's attention on him. He's also a megalomaniac. He loves this attention. He's probably sitting there going, oh. He's prouder than the first time he made a poopy.
Oh, God.
Look at what I did. Look at what I did. Look at what I did. I caused all this fuss and ruckus. I don't know. It's starting to feel like 1998 again with Clinton. Part of me wants to say I want us to go ahead and do it, but I also know that if we don't have a solid ground, then the Republicans will just flake their way out of it, and we'll end up looking worse.
Now there was an article on theroot.com. It's called "As a Black Man, I Understand Why Democrats Don't Want to Impeach Trump." And it actually discusses the differences between what voters of color and white voters think of impeachment, and why white voters are dragging their heels on this compared to voters of color.
I do agree. It's definitely more personal for people of color because they come up against this every day, whereas it's still a thought experiment for us.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm horrified by what happens to the children and the people in the camps, but I've never personally been affected. And so I'm still removed, whereas with some people, they don't feel removed. But I would say, in my case, I'm only hesitant because if this is going to be done, I want to win. And I just know how snaky some people can be. And I don't want the Congress to get themselves in a position where they're railroaded by people and it ends up looking worse and we guarantee a re-election for Trump. That's one of my big fears because his base, they're passionate. Yeah. And I don't know how they do. I mean, of course, I think they had help from Russia last time, but as crazy as this president is, he still gets support. And I'm worried that this will just galvanize them.
Now, one of the concerns I have is that he still would be able to get reelected. We've seen reelections happen.
Yes.
Even though a person was convicted of a federal crime.
Happens all the time. People just don't care for some reason. Some people probably think that's cool. It's like, yeah, he's a rebel. He went to jail for blah blah blah.
We had a sheriff. I can't remember what state it was from. I apologize. We had a sheriff in jail for the first 6 months of his term.
That's so wrong.
Got out and went right back to his job. Could we actually survive? Could we have a vice president do that while the president's in jail?
Not if they were Democrat. That's one of the things that pisses me off about the Democrats. The Democrats, they fold so easily. Oh, that's not the right thing to do. Oh no, I'm not going to do that. Whereas the Republicans, they'll trample all over everything to get what they want.
That is true. Unfortunately, the white Democrats they're so afraid of losing.
Yeah.
They won't jump on board unless they know they can win.
I was going to say this earlier. I remember now. I read the article you talked about where they had the percentage of people who haven't decided yet or won't respond. And a lot of them are new Democrat representatives, or they're in formerly red states. And basically, they don't want to rock their boat, which is shameful. It is absolutely shameful. But at the same time, there's a practical part of my brain that goes, well, if they didn't pay attention to that, they wouldn't get elected, you know? Mm-hmm. It's one of those things where I hate the logic side of my brain. The passionate side of my brain is like, I hate them. They're stupid and they need to pick a side and stick to it. And then the little tiny logical part is like, well, if they didn't play the Game of Thrones, they wouldn't win.
That is true.
Yeah.
I know that a CNN telephone poll does show the voters who are people of color completely favor impeachment. And I understand why, because Trump has treated people of color with such contempt. And he continues to, especially people of color who are struggling on the lower end. He is attempting to make life so difficult for them, which is ridiculous. Where are they going to go? It's not like you could just kick them out of the United States, okay? They're United States citizens.
Yeah.
All they're going to do is sit there and suffer, and everybody else is going to suffer with them.
Yeah. They just passed some kind of resolution to lower aid. Did you read about that?
I did. It's multi-level.
Yeah.
So it still needs to go through another process, but they are attempting to pass rules and regulations that people have to work for SNAP benefits, for the women and children benefits, for any kind of welfare. You have to work. That just doesn't work. It does not work in any place where you see the only thing you're doing is making people more afraid, more frantic. They're not planning for the future. They're only trying to live for the next few days ahead of them, which is wrong.
It is wrong.
You need to give people a good, solid platform. Stop make them worrying about where their food is going to come from, where they're going to live the next couple of days. Okay, if you're not worried about housing, if you're not worried about your kids being fed, you're going to go out. Exactly. You're going to go out and find a good job that fits you and work hard at it. Mm-hmm. There are exceptions. Yes, there are always going to be minor exceptions.
Yeah.
This universe isn't perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But we need to give people that opportunity instead of actively attempting to take it away from them.
If you scare people, it never does any good. Scaring people never helps. All you do is send people into panic mode.
Now, I really think it's not an impeachable offense, but it is a support for the fact that he is tearing down the United States way of life. Because we have from the time of the Depression, we have had a strong emphasis on making sure that people don't have to worry about that in order to survive. And little by little, we are chipping away at it. And it's wrong. It's wrong because people are now profiting off of the suffering of our most vulnerable levels of society. I'm very glad that the people of color in our society see that, and they are angry enough to do something about it. I wish it was an impeachable offense. I really wish it was. To cause our people to suffer, I wish that was an impeachable offense.
I wish it could stand on its own. In my mind, it should, but it's one of those things where I talked about it's not an objective thing. And so the opposing side could come up with all kinds of excuses and twist it to where it's not objective, and you can't say this is a crime. This is something that he should be punished for. But, I mean, it turns into crime when people die because of it. And, of course, all the children who have died in captivity from crossing the border, to me, that I feel like that should be.
Okay, I know that is not an impeachable offense.
Okay.
But that is something that we could get him for after the fact.
Yeah.
If we kicked him out of office, we could potentially sue the life out of him and kick him into the bottom, the bottom of society.
Wrongful death. How about that?
Yes, wrongful death.
Mm-hmm.
All those things. Right now, we have at least 3 concentration camps in America at the border. It is disgusting and it's wrong.
It reminds me of World War II when the Japanese were held in internment camps. Although I don't know if Japanese children died, but it reminds me of that.
And I hope we could get him on that. If we don't do the impeachment now, I hope we can get him for it later.
I hope so too.
If we do go for impeachment, I think it might be for the whole Russia, the obstruction of our voting process. Also for the trade tariffs. I think we could potentially get him for the trade tariffs.
Yeah.
He's actively sabotaging the United States with these tariffs.
It makes no sense. All of our stuff comes from China. Why would he do this?
Anybody, I know personally, anybody out here with a failed grass seed crop, usually you just package that up and send it to China.
Yeah.
Well, guess what?
It costs too much money, right?
Yeah, if we have people with tons of soybeans, we have tons of soybeans rotting in silos right now across the United States. There's no way we're going to be able to stick grass and straw and seed just to get rid of it to China. We'll never be able to afford the tariffs because China will pass those on to us. It's not China paying for it. It is not.
And guess what, Walmart shoppers? A lot of stuff comes from China. I don't know if it still does, but it used to. A lot of our cheap items come from China. A lot of our toys come from China. And, if you like paying $1 for toys, well, I'm sorry, but it may not be $1 anymore. And I think people don't realize that. The things like tariffs do hit home. And some people just don't realize that because they don't pay attention to where their things come from.
Now, I see the link that you had about Trump wanting to obstruct.
Yes, to me that is true obstruction. I read an article that
I'm gonna let you talk about that, and I'm gonna run off real quick. I will be right back.
Okay. Well, from what I read, the only reason Robert Mueller couldn't accuse Trump of obstruction is because he didn't actually do it, because his staff refused to carry out his orders that would be obstruction. So basically, his babysitters kept him from doing it, and that's the only reason. Now, to me, the fact that he wanted to do it should be impeachable. I mean, it wasn't of his own volition that he didn't do it. He wanted to do it. And with Comey, the FBI director, he asked for loyalty like a mafia boss. That's not the way it's supposed to be. Comey's loyalty was supposed to be to the FBI. And to me, that's attempting to sway justice to his side. There's so many things that feel like obstruction to me, but once again, since he didn't actually do it, I mean, nothing actually happened, it may not stick. And my worry is that these things won't stick. But it's right there. I'm reading this article from NPR. It's from April. It says Attorney General William Barr said there would be no obstruction of justice charges against the president stemming from the report. But the threshold for charging the president might have been reached had staffers not resisted his directives to engage in actions that would have impeded the investigation. One of the things that Trump did is he said when what's his name was still Attorney General, what was his name from Alabama? I'm blanking on his name.
It's right there on the tip of my tongue, and I don't.
Alabama man. Well, Alabama man did the right thing. Believe it or not, man from Alabama did the right thing. He said, Mr. Trump, I can't
Steve
be a
Marshall?
No. What's his name? I see his face. Hold on.
I'm sorry. I interrupted the flow. You're talking.
No, it's okay. It just popped into my head. This guy. This one of the first times that I remember Trump trying to obstruct justice.
Barr?
No, he's the new guy. Oh gosh, darn it! It was Attorney General. I'm not crazy. Hold on. Anyways, when it came to the whole Comey investigation, Trump wanted him to be a part of it. And this guy said, no, I won't, because I have a conflict of interest. And so he stepped down. And so Trump hated him for it and basically fired him because he refused to be a part of it. And the guy actually did the right thing. He abstained from it. What was that man's name? Maybe, I thought it was Attorney General.
Sessions.
Yes, Jeff Sessions. Thank you.
The rat.
Alabama man.
The rat.
The rat. Exactly. I love when Kate McKinnon does them on Saturday Night Live. So Jeff Sessions did the right thing. And I will say that time and time again. In this case, he did the right thing. He abstained because he had a personal interest. And I don't even remember why he had a personal interest, but he did. And it was the right thing to do. And Trump hated him for it and felt like he didn't do what he was hired to do, because apparently he thought Jeff Sessions was hired to back him up. And Jeff Sessions didn't back him up. And Jeff Sessions lost his job because of it. Alabama man did right. Alabama man, he did the right thing. He's from Selma, Alabama. He's 72 years old.
It's hard to think of Sessions actually doing something right, but yeah.
He did, and I will say it over and over again. He did something right in that case. I can't say everything he's ever done has been right because he's from Alabama, and he's an old white man. And that those things just don't come out right most of the time. Hey, I can say that I lived there for 10 years. Before anyone says anything, I can talk about Alabama. Oh, Siren has been talking. He said,
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, it's okay. He said, despite how the White House interprets the Constitution, anyone on U.S. soil is protected by the Constitution. It says all people, not all citizens. And that's true, Si. Unfortunately,
that's very true. And I've actually had 2 or 3 people actually telling me that the Constitution says people, not citizens. So the people at the border are just as protected as the citizens are.
And you're right.
So that could be an impeachable offense.
And the funny thing is, there are people who are constitutional purists, but if you told them that, they'd be like, no. It means men. It means.
But those constitutional purists are probably not lawyers. They're they're not even close to being on the Supreme Court. Of course,
they're not really thinking hard about it.
Yeah,
it's true. anyone on U.S. soil. It says all people and not all citizens. And I've always believed that. I believe in human rights. That's what pisses me off when I hear people say, well, they're not U.S. citizens, so it doesn't matter how we treat them. Yes, it does.
And I really wish that we could actually put the word human into the Constitution instead of just people.
You want to know something that I found out from John Oliver that I didn't know? You know, the Equal Protection Act for women?
Yes.
It was never officially ratified. It's not part of the Constitution. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I know that now. It's not official.
Which is crazy.
It is crazy. I'm like, I thought that was done 40 years ago.
No.
I thought that was done before I was born, which would actually be more like 50 years ago. So there are 13 holdout states. My state is one of them.
Yeah, because they're afraid of women.
I guess so. Or they're afraid of upsetting their base.
They are afraid of women, and as well, I have heard this week a challenge when the baby was in, chatting with the Queen. We had a challenge to how many murders have the Black Lives Matter or Black activists committed. The answer is none. Not a single person has been killed because of or connected to Black Lives Matter or Black activists.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't. Yeah.
You know, these are people who are afraid. They are afraid of the minorities. They're afraid of women becoming powerful. They are afraid of people of color becoming powerful, and they should be. Yeah. They absolutely should be, because we're going to kick their white patriarchal butts to the curbside for attempting to, create an atmosphere that we can't do anything but, be what we're told to be.
The status quo is upending, and it has been for a while, and they can't stand it. That's why you see all these straight pride rallies, white pride rallies.
Which is ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Okay, first of all, I'm not proud to be white. And I'm proud to say it. I'm not proud to be white. We suck. We've done a ton of terrible stuff. I feel horrible about it, and I had nothing to do with it. It's not something to be proud of. I am not proud. I'm green right now, but I'm not proud. There's no reason to be proud about being straight, being white, being male, because that's the status quo. That's the default.
It is the default.
It doesn't take pride. It doesn't take courage to say, I'm a white man.
It doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that all straight white men are awful or horrible people.
No.
There are plenty of wonderful people. But there have been so many, and we are still attempting to push down other minorities, and that is wrong. It needs to stop, and we need to continue to make it stop. And Trump has definitely been an instigator of violence against these minority groups. He supported the Alabama abortion law.
Of course he did.
He did.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what he said after the fact. He supported it for years.
He's going towards his base. I don't expect him to say anything differently. And I said this before when we had our show about pro-choice. It still surprises me that they did such a draconian law, because when I used to be a telephone surveyor 25 years ago, one of the questions was, how do you feel about abortion in the case of the life of the woman, rape, or incest? And even the most conservative people say, oh, yeah, well, that's okay. I understand that. So 25 years ago, that wasn't even a question. It was like, oh, that's understood. Okay. And then out of nowhere, somebody decides, no, we're going to take that off the table too. I guess they've never had someone they know raped, or they don't care. Yeah. It's just insane to me. It's absolutely insane. And now apparently Missouri has one abortion clinic left, and it's going to go bye-bye soon.
Yeah, they gave it. Did they give it a month? I mean, that seems like an impeachable offense to me, but I think that's my emotions talking. If you are actively attempting to destroy women's health, that seems like an impeachable offense.
I would think so, but once again, it's one of those things where someone could talk themselves out of it.
But women are dying because of this.
And women will die. Women did die before the 70s.
It doesn't seem like a morality issue when you can prove women are dying because of this decision.
Che will probably remember this. In Ireland, a lady who was visiting died.
Yes.
Because they did not offer her abortion and her life was in danger. And I think he said once that that's what led to them to finally legalize abortion. And I doubt they're still having these same arguments. They went for it, and they're probably ahead of it now than we are.
There's so much that could be an impeachable fit. I mean, I kind of wish I had a better law background in me.
I know. I don't know either. I'm just picking and I don't know.
So at the end of it,
bless you. Excuse me.
So at the end of it, are you for impeachment, or would you rather wait and get him for a slew of other things afterward?
Depends. Do you know the outcome of the 2020 election for president? Do you know that outcome?
No, sadly, I don't. I couldn't even tell you. We have how many? 17 Democrats.
It's ridiculous. 16? Why can't they just get their shit together and just pick 4? That pisses me off. Everyone wants to be special. Okay, I'm going to get on a rant that's going to make me sound like a libertarian. But why does everyone think they have to be special? Why does everyone think they have to be president? Why do all these people think they have to be the number one person? Why can't they just put their money toward one person they think represents their ideals and let that person run for president?
I think their plan is actually to attempt to out-yell the Republicans.
That won't work.
But here's the thing. Right now, it's working, Lola. Believe it or not. What is John Oliver talking about? What is Trevor Noah talking about? What is CNN talking about? Are they all talking about the Republican race? No, they're talking about the 16 effing Democrats that can't make up their mind.
There is no Republican race because they're probably going to run Trump. So there isn't a Republican race.
Exactly. So all the talk right now, all the words don't even revolve around Republican. They all revolve around Democrat. And I think that is their plan right now. Half of them have to know, look, Buttigieg, you're a wonderful person. I really love you. You're never going to become president, dude. But if he gets up there and yells loud enough, if
he might rouse some people up,
and all the rest of them yell loud enough, they will have the stage for enough time that people will listen to them. People may stop listening to Trump.
Yes, but I still would rather, it still feels like everyone has to be told they're pretty. Everyone thinks they need to be the top dog. I really wish people would find a few candidates that they support and run those instead of everyone thinking they have to be prom queen.
It does feel like that. We'll have to disagree. We'll have to agree to disagree on that point.
Okay. It makes me remember. It makes me think about the Republican primary when the CEO of Godfather's Pizza ran. You know, Yeah, and so it just reminds me that they had so many people in it, and it was just ridiculous. And I remember thinking it was ridiculous, and I don't want people thinking that about Democratic candidates.
So your point is made. We have no idea, although we know a few people that will definitely not become president. But we don't know the outcome. It could be Biden, it could be Sanders, it could be Kamala Harris, it could be Warren. There are a couple others maybe that could back and forth between it, but no, we don't know the outcome.
Well, I think what I was trying to say in my own cheeky way is, if you told me that doing an impeachment now would mean that Trump's base would be really rallied up and he would have more of a stand and he would get reelected, then I was like, no, let's not do it. But if you told me that impeaching him now would really rally up everyone and everyone would realize just how wrong they've been, and people would wake up out of the fog and they would rue the day they ever elected him, and that, you know, he would not be elected in 2020, then I'd say, let's impeach him. So in other words, I don't know.
And I think impeachment now is extremely unlikely. The majority of Republicans polled are against it. The majority of Democrats are for it. But the Democrats are never going to see it unless the Republicans get behind it.
Yeah.
And a majority of every single politician out there is not even saying anything at all. They haven't responded to the polls one way or another. Even my own Oregon favored Peter DeFazio. Peter, you have such a big, fat, loud mouth, man. Where do you stand on it? Are you going to get behind? Are you even courting Republicans to attempt to get behind this, or have you just given it up altogether and you're working on other stuff that's more likely? I think that it is more likely that they have given up on impeachment and they're concentrating like hell on the 2020 elections.
And maybe that's better. As much as I think that Trump is a criminal and he should be out, the practical side of myself says we've got a year and a half. Let's see if we can shore up enough support for not Trump, whether that be Green or Libertarian or a Democrat or whatever. Let's see if we can shore up enough support against Trump and see if we can really get him out of office. That part says that, but then there's another part that says, but what about the mother whose child dies because he's in an internment camp? There's that part that says, we don't have a year and a half. It's hard because there are two different thoughts going through my head. Only two. I only have room for two thoughts in my head.
Now, I agree with Cybernaut. If he does get reelected, I think there will be a huge move to impeach.
I hope so.
Because he is going to keep on doing the same crap. He's going to keep on running the U.S. economy into the ground. And I'm pretty sure that the U.S. agriculturalists, the farmers out there, are going to get very tired of their crops rotting in silos, not being paid off. We cannot pay off all of American farmers for everything that is destroyed. We already went through this in the Great Depression. How many people died because we could not pay them enough to live?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's not going to happen. If you run our economy into the ground, Trump, you better expect us to come for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then I would really hate to have our vice president in charge. That,
you know, I hate him. I don't like him. He's very anti-abortion. But
he's not only anti-abortion, he is one that is far more intelligent about his little underworld dealings. Yeah. You know, he's a snake.
He might actually be successful.
He might actually be successful. The Republicans might actually support him, which is really scary.
He's easier to hide because he seems like a normal guy, and you know, he's probably not, you know, grabbing women's pussies and stuff.
No,
So,
absolutely not.
Absolutely not. He's their wet dream.
Now, whether he'd actually go to G20 and work with the rest of the world is another thing. Is another thing entirely. There would be another whole huge thing if we impeach Trump next time.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to have to deal with a huge political aftermath of nationalistic crap?
Probably. Well, nationalism has risen in Europe.
It has. It has
oh
risen.
God,
it has risen
horrible.
everywhere. It is awful.
Germany, Sweden, all that stuff. Oh my God! It's like everyone's become emboldened. I'm like, no.
Even with a lot of the improvements that we have made socially, we still have to fight this crap. We're a planet. We're people. We're human. We all need to
planet.
We all need to view each other as human.
Well, and that's how I view people. But when I hear people say things like, well, they're not a U.S. citizen, so it doesn't matter if we torture them or not. I'm like, yes, it matters. We're supposed to be the standard bearers. We call ourselves the greatest nation. We're supposed to act like it. And it just horrifies me when people say shit like that. I'm like, just because they're not a U.S. citizen, it doesn't matter. They're human.
We were supposed to be taught to be better than that. We're supposed to accept people. This is for goodness sake, we're supposed to be the land of immigrants.
Right. Well, we were. I mean, I'm sorry, Mr. Trump. Didn't your grandfather? Another thing, I'm pretty sure he has some form of dementia because his grandfather came from, I think, Germany. And he said once that his father came over from there. And his father was born in the Bronx.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure he has some form of dementia. Oh, and all right. The moon is a part of Mars. But when I said that to our friend Jason did make a point. He did make a good point. I had to think about it before I understood. Jason said that what he probably meant was that the moon mission was a part of the Mars mission. It was all wrapped up together. But that's not what he said. He said the moon. He said Mars, which the moon is a part of. That's what he tweeted.
That's true. And there's another thing. I mean, all these little misspoken lines are really concerning.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want my president to be a freaking idiot.
Yeah.
I don't want my president to think that the presidential position is a path to profit.
Well, that's what's happening. That's what he wanted to do with Russia.
Yes.
He from what we can figure out, he wanted to have a hotel in Russia. And of course, and the Mar-a-Lago thing. Now, this isn't technically him, so you can't really get him on this. But there is a lady who was selling access to the president.
Yes.
She was an Asian lady. Yeah. And she was selling access to him at Mar-a-Lago. And I don't know if they can prove if he was part of it. He probably knew, but we just don't know if he was a part of it. But yeah, I mean, he's compromised all over the place. He's compromised up, down, right, left, horizontal. He's compromised every which way. It's insane. It's like we let a villain be president.
If we can't convince Republicans that impeachment of a person like this is the right thing to do, how are we actually going to survive as a nation? Because our values are starting to crumble from one part of our nation to another. We originally began as this tiny little group that wanted to get away from oppression. And we grew into a nation of inclusive individuals, with the occasional exception, that decided that, the extremism of nationalism was evil. If you're only out for yourself, you're going to wind up killing other people, and that's bad. And we understood that at one point.
Well,
and for goodness sake, can't we get back to that? Can't we convince the Republicans that, look, this guy is just bad.
he's a bad guy.
He's bad for the United States.
He's a sociopath.
He's bad for us socially. He's bad for us
economically. They need to suck it up.
Yeah. He's bad for our reputation. We need to get rid of him.
Mm-hmm.
Just bad in general.
He's a bad guy. Bad, bad, bad. I wish they would understand that. I never thought I'd long for the days of Mitt Romney and George Bush. I long for those days.
Yeah, George Bush was ignorant, but he was not cruel.
He wasn't cruel, and he wasn't actively evil. I mean, he was just kind of going with the flow. And
surprisingly, what?
I heard him on PBS maybe a year ago or something. On NPR. And I didn't realize. I came in like after the segment had already started, and I heard his voice, and he was so compassionate, talking about. I can't remember now what he was talking about, but it was very compassionate. I think it was about our relations with foreign governments, and about how we need to be compassionate. Anyways, he was talking, and he was so articulate and so put together, and I was just agreeing, and then it hit me. I'm like, is this George W. Bush? And
yeah, I know, right?
And Clint said, yup, and I went, I died, and am I in purgatory? What's going on? And I was like, holy shit. Well, I mean, first of all, he's, what? How far is he removed from his presidency? Like,
oh, got a long ways.
10 years removed from his presidency. So he can say what he wants. I mean, when someone is president, they can't really say what they want. So he is very removed from his presidency. So he is allowed to be himself. So that would explain a marked difference between what he's saying now and what might have been said like 12 years ago. But still, I was like, it made me sad all over again. I'm like, I want you back. You can come back. You can come back. Not the orange guy. You can come back. Come on back. Come on back.
Well, I think he would still be too susceptible to being led around by the nose.
Well, except for he's older now, so
but
maybe not so much.
At least he does have that compassionate bone. Trump has none. Trump is out for one person. And a lot of people up in the upper 1% identify with that. And a lot of people who want to be in the upper 1% identify that. And
they respect it.
They think that if they support this man, they will get to the 1%.
Because they want that path to open up. They want that path to be clear for them.
Reality check.
It's not going to happen. Trickle down economics doesn't work.
No.
Yeah. And
if our farmers cannot sell their soybeans and their wheat, you can expect that your vegetables are going to keep on going up and up and up. And your lovely little pre-processed microwave dinners in a couple of years are going to be so expensive, you're never going to be able to afford them.
You're just going to be eating sandwiches. Sorry.
And everybody will be eating ramen. We'll be grateful if we get it.
Did 30 years ago. I lived on ramen. I don't want to go back, although that sounds actually fantastic right now. But that's because I'm tipsy.
But I hate it that we're so close to 2020 that impeachment seems very, very unlikely. Nobody wants to dive into it because Nobody wants to take the chance that they won't get reelected if they support it.
And it could galvanize his supporters. That's one thing I worry about.
It could, which is awful.
And like you said, I mean, you said the focus seems to be on the election. Maybe it needs to be on the election. Maybe people who are not Trump need to focus on their own campaigns.
That is true.
Try telling that to the mother who lost her child. That's the hard part. When I think about that, I think about the children who have died in these internment camps. And I'm like, it's hard. It's really hard.
Well, I kind of wish it was, I kind of wish it was a little better news. But, and I would issue a direct challenge to everybody who has not responded to that New York Times poll.
Mm-hmm.
All you politicians out there, Peter DeFazio, all you politicians who have not responded, we want to know whether you actually support an impeachment or whether you do not support an impeachment. Your indecision is not helping us. You're not helping us make a decision on whether we need to let this go or not.
And while we're at it, I guess you could call your own Congress people and senators. I've done it before. I could do it again.
Absolutely. And, do it more than once. If you want to call if you want to call, email your senator, your representative, keep doing it. Keep screaming.
I'm sad again.
Get out there. Sad. Get out there. Go to their office.
I just remembered that Bill Nelson isn't our senator anymore. It's asshole used to be governor, healthcare person who made doctors be hot in order to work for him. Seriously, that was one of the requirements of working for him. You had to be hot. Rick Scott.
Oh,
he's our senator now. I had forgotten.
Oh, that is sad.
Oh gosh, we have 2 Republican senators. Still call or email or whatever.
Well, I'll tell you what. Tomorrow I will take a picture of something beautiful to make you feel better.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Even though we can't count on impeachment, 2020, think about it. Think about it, people. It is coming. It is important. And whether you are a Republican, a Democrat, a Green, an Independent, a Libertarian, it is coming. And you need to get your voice out there. We need to hear from you.
And you know what? Even though my mother isn't alive anymore, I don't want her memory to live in a world where Trump is elected twice.
Yeah. I am making that all difficult decision. Mm-hmm. Do I go back to being a Democrat or do I stay as a nonpartisan? That is one of the most difficult decisions I have to make now.
That is a question for the ages because I went through that last time. I want to vote for a third party. I want more options. But Jill Green, okay, maybe this is petty of me, but I didn't like that she defaced government property. I didn't like that. Because I've worked for the government long enough where that's just like, no, you don't deface because someone has to clean that up, I didn't like that. She defaced government property. I didn't like that. And when it came time to vote, I folded. Jason folded too, because Jason was going to vote for a third-party candidate, and he folded and voted for Trump. I folded and voted for Clinton, even though I hate her.
I folded and voted for Clinton too.
Yeah, I just didn't want Trump to make it. It didn't matter anyway.
Here now, I think we have a different, and we will definitely, as the 2020 election comes closer, we will have a full-on debate, a confrontational debate, not just debate between ourselves. But it's such a difficult decision that we all have to make. how do we make sure that our important issues are addressed?
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to address them? Who's actually going to care that that's what we care about?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want immigrants to suffer anymore.
No.
I don't. It's huge for me. It is huge for me that immigrants stop suffering. It's huge for me that American farmers don't have to deal with tariffs anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely want to kick, baby man to the curbside.
Me too. I hate him so much. I hate him. I hate him so much. It just pisses me off so much. But I feel so helpless.
And Cybernaut, I agree. We really do just need to get the people that don't care enough to care just a little bit more. So we're coming for you too. The second you say something that you care about that we catch, we're gonna call you on it.
Mm-hmm. And I said Jill Green before. I did a Trump. What was it? Trump said Jeff Amazon or
Jeff. Oh.
No, he called the person by the company name. I said Jill Green. Her name is Jill Stein.
Oh,
the Green Party. I just realized I said that. I was like, Jill Green. No, Jill Stein.
I'm frustrated with Jill Stein. Well, I'm frustrated with her and I'm frustrated for her. I'm frustrated that she has not been able to get into debates, but I am frustrated with her because of some of the tactics that she has.
I know. I just don't like it. I want the person I support needs to be better than the other people. I mean, from a holistic perspective.
Mm-hmm. Look, if you're a white woman running for office, destroying property isn't going to get you where you want to be. It's not going to get you where you want to be.
No. And I mean that, I can already hear arguments. She shouldn't be held to a higher standard because she's female. And that's right. She shouldn't. I wouldn't want anyone I support to destroy property. Anyone I support, I don't want them to be destroying property.
That's true. Mm-hmm. But I understand when certain groups make it difficult for people to go about their daily business. Yeah. I seriously don't agree with violence. But making it difficult for us to get across a bridge, for us to get where we're going, to interrupt our lives in such a fashion that we have to take a look at the people who are doing it. That actually does kind of make sense to me. Mm-hmm. Because you're making us look at your lives. You're making us look at how difficult it is for you to simply live your life. And I totally get it. But if you're a white woman politician, okay, running around destroying property is not going to get you the result that you want. It's not.
No.
You need to stand up there with the rest of the politicians. If you can't get the voice, you need to figure out a way to get the voice.
I see what you mean. She doesn't need to be a little brat rebel. She doesn't need to be a 17-year-old cutting up her parents' car or whatever. Yeah, she needs to be a serious politician. You're right about that.
You need to be cunning enough to get on the shows that will make your voice be heard to the American public. You need to find some way in which the American public will hear you.
Right.
Destroying public property will not do anything except make all the middle class go, oh, well, she's not real.
Right. All it does is make you look like a brat.
Yeah.
That's really what it does.
Look at what Trump's been doing. Trump is tearing down our nation. Trump is running around defacing our economy and, spitting on other countries that we have had good relations with in the past.
Right.
That's not something we want.
No, that's not something. We don't want anyone doing childish behavior. We want an Obama. I want another Obama. He never stooped to that shit. Now, he did stuff I didn't like. I will say that. But
everybody does something we don't like.
Yeah, I can't control people. but he never stooped, ever. He was always his own person. He was always elegant, graceful, intelligent, engaged, everything that I want in a president. He was always that, always. And I never thought we would do such a backwards turn after him.
Yeah, we definitely need to turn it around. We need to find some people that need to care and make them care.
Yeah, I'm looking over at the chat. Che is saying side banana would be better. Oh, because they were talking about Tim Apple. That's what Trump said. He called him Tim Apple. Yeah, and side banana would be better.
Cyberat.
Yeah, Cyberat. That's good too.
Not enough hair. Need some hair on the dot for Cyberat.
Hair on the dot. Oh, yeah. For
Borat had more hair.
He would need a bit more hair, definitely. Yeah.
On the top and on the bottom.
Oh, I don't know about that. I didn't watch. I used to watch his TV show, Ali G.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't watch any of the movies. I'm one of those people, I cringe easily, and just the thought of him trapping people, it's just, it makes me sick thinking about it. I can't watch it. I just can't. It just makes me, I go all wiggy, and I'm like, no. Yeah, I used to like Ali G.
Well, guys, I'm going to wrap it up a bit here. I am going to tell you about an awesome, wonderful, fantastic, the best humble bundle, manga bundle.
And I've got a humble bundle too.
I think this is the best one I've found for manga yet. Kodansha. Is back with another bundle full of manga, $1,223 worth of manga, DRM-free multi-format. 2,450 bundles have been sold. Manga to anime by Kodansha. You can get that on our Twitter at Beery GE. You can click on that, and it also helps us out, and we would be super, super appreciative if you helped us out.
OM Cheesy Bread, they've got a new humble bundle. Okay, so the one I bought, they have one for sci-fi books. And I bought that one. I used our link. If you go to our link and do the 6 bundles, you see the science fiction one. But they have another one, STEM bookshelf. Oh,
yeah.
You see that?
I see it.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
4 specific disciplines, one awesome bundle. Mercury Learning is back with a library of ebooks on science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
Yes. Ooh. Basic electronics, theory and practice, particle physics, linear algebra, research methods for information systems.
Ooh, tensor analysis for engineers. If you're an engineer, that could be worth your time.
Financial accounting. They have a bunch of like Excel and stuff too, but
some cool 3D printing and AutoCAD. Foundations of physics. Now that could be one for the writers in the group.
3D printing. You might have already said that. Mathematical methods for physics. Psychedelic drug treatments. That's for the weekend because, psychedelic drugs.
An electrical engineering exam prep. Oh.
Did we just come? Did we?
I think so. Because
we did. I think we both just came.
I know that the electrical engineering exam prep goes for a lot of money, especially if you're in college. That's going to be something that will cost you a huge amount of money. Jump on this. 4 days left. We will make sure it makes it into our Twitter.
Got that one right. I really did just relieve myself in the best way. Python for TensorFlow. They have
I love mathematics. I love mathematics. I mean, the linear algebra is kind of my my geek out moment.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god, I just geeked out all over the place. My geek just kind of went all over the place.
Well, guys, I am Linda Tepler, and I really hope that you'll check out my book, Hunchback. It is on ebook on Amazon.
I started listening to it. It's so
Did you like
awesome.
it?
Yes,
Did you like it?
So much. He's just made it to the third tower, counting the first master, the third tower. So it's the guy who seems so cool, who's like, dude, come up to my tower, let's hang out. We're so cool. We're all chilling here. Let's smoke some weed. It's that master. That's where I'm at. It's really good.
I've actually heard from quite a few people who have been listening to Hunchback. Both available. It's available on Audible. It's available on Amazon as an ebook. Mm-hmm. It's also available on a range of other audiobook and ebook formats. But if you can't find it, go to lindatepler.com, and I'll be happy to get you a copy of that book in either audio DRM-free audiobook format or an ebook DRM-free format, in whatever format you really want. And
that's what when we get offline, I'm going to ask you about that, because that's what I want to do for somebody.
And I believe that is all. Don't forget to check out Lola's book.
Thank you.
Because Lola is an author too, and we need to encourage her to write more books.
I know. I keep thinking I'm going to, and then life gets in the way. I need to. I will. I've got the rest of my life. I'm going to live to 150. I've got the rest of my life. It's okay.
Is your book still on Amazon?
Yes, it will be, as long as there's an Amazon. And if you don't like Amazon for whatever reason, it's on. You can get it through Smashwords. You can get it there too. Yeah, and also I have the audio book on free for my website, lolarcy.com, because I just didn't feel like the quality was good enough to charge for it, so it's free. And it'll probably remain free. And then the next book, maybe I'll have you and Shay help me with.
Trudy Lamb, Spaceship Captain.
Earth Detective. Yeah.
She's such a badass character.
She is. She's awesome. I love her. She doesn't care. But then she's balanced out by Aurora. Aurora's more of the staid, studious, conservative in a good way type character. So they're balanced out by each other.
Awesome. Well, guys, if you're in a cold environment or a hot environment, we really hope that you have enjoyed this show and that you were inspired to go out and harass your local electorate, find out your issues, make sure that it's important what you want, and make sure that the people that you want are in power. Mm-hmm. Don't stop yelling until it happens.
Right.
Yes, absolutely.
But caveat, don't incite violence.
Don't incite violence. No.
Please don't. No. Because that's not cool, and you will get in jail.
Love each other, because we love you.
Be respectful.
Yeah, be respectful. We love you, and we hope that you have an awesome day, an awesome night, and a really awesome beer.
Yeah.
Bye.